Hi everybody, I hope you're doing great. We're going to have a conversation today about life path. And this is what I've been experiencing. There was a pandemic. Maybe the pandemic's still happening, I'm not really sure, but I've noticed that that was a really big blip in time. And it's starting to inspire us to try to figure out where. There's a lot of twos and wheres, like where am I, what am I doing, what is this life I'm living, what is this world I exist in. And so we get confused about life path and life purpose. Okay, so I drew some pictures. Happiness. See? Happiness is just a smile away, right? All right, so I drew this picture because I guarantee there's been times in your life where it seemed like your life path was obvious. You start here, you could call this point A, and then you can see where point B is. There's like this finish line, okay? And so, yeah, this is where I begin, that is where I end. Let's say I'm taking a flight, and I'm flying from this place, and I'm going to arrive at that place. And so it's pretty obvious. We're going to go from here to here. Like there's a very obvious beginning and a very obvious end. So, but we're talking about life path. So we don't really know what is our calling. What is our calling with people and in our relationships? What is our calling with our work? Do we feel a relationship with our work? If we're falling out of a relationship with our work, why is that happening? What is our relationship with ourselves? So once you start to ask these questions, you start to see that the bigger picture of life isn't necessarily the straight line, because we can't really see it entirely. It's more like this. I can't go from this point A here and then just jump right. What is that? Like, what is the smallest point in a black hole? Like, where does that exist? If this is my life path, I can't even tell how long this is going to be. I can't even tell where the end of it is. Does it even have an end? What if I'm trying to reach the smallest point in a black hole? Maybe life feels like we're going into the black hole. I'm not sure. Hopefully not, because that sounds kind of scary. But that's why I say uncomfortable. And then comfortable. Comfortable because we have control. We know how this is going to happen. We know how this is all going to work out. Uncomfortable. We have no idea. I'm going in the spiral of the black hole. I'm going to the tiniest point. I can't go from here to here. This is hard to tell what this is. This is like what's happening right now. So when the pandemic hit, let's say the pandemic has a life path. And where did that life path begin? And where is that life path ending? Are we even at the end of the pandemic? I don't know if we still need to live in the inspiration that we need to be afraid of this, or maybe we need to be afraid of something else in the future, or is this still happening? Like, I don't know where its life path is, but it's influenced my life path. It's influenced everybody's life path. So we can't really see straight. You know, this is, I can see straight. I can't see straight. I'm getting all squirrely here. I'm getting all twisted up here. Uncomfortable because we have no control. We don't know where the end is in sight. That's why it's uncomfortable. We have no control. We just exist in this. We exist in this, and then we try to do the best that we know how in this. We know what we can do, what we can't do, where we're going, what the outcome's going to look like. We know. All right, the next thing I want to say is, let's take a look at the world news right now. And there's a lot of phenomenons going on. And when there are enough layered phenomenons, and we're starting to see that maybe the news isn't matching up with reality, and we're starting to ask questions about, are we being given the truth, or are we being given an idea that we need to just buy into, it's starting to take away what is the clear path, and it's starting to turn it into this. And this is what happens to our minds, and this is what happens to our emotions. So when the world is getting all shook up, and we need to know who's accountable for some of these events that are taking place, and they could be local, like East Palestine event. That's a local U.S. event. Or how about the Ukraine-Russia war? How about the Nord Stream pipeline event? How about the earthquakes in Turkey? That's a natural phenomenon, but we can still care about those people. Are we allowed to care about Russian people or Chinese people? We're told how we need to think. So we're told that this is how you have this kind of life, a very clear life path when you do what you're told and you believe what you're told and you think in the way that you're told. And you don't allow yourself to feel vulnerable. You just keep choosing to buy into what you're told, and that will create this. But if you question what you're told, then that is going to create this. So the pandemic happened, and a lot of other things have been happening because we go from believing in our leaders to what am I believing in? Can I believe in myself? Can I believe in my job? Can I believe in the future? Can I believe in the future of the human race? Can I believe in my leadership? Can I believe in financial stability? Can I believe in anything? And so you see how life path is getting really, really confusing. This starts to become like our brains. Our brains are getting hypnotized, not because we're being told what to do to help keep us in line and help make it clear, and we don't have to question anything. And so that's really hypnosis. Just stay right here and just stay in line and just follow the person in front of you. That's hypnosis, just absorbing that in and never questioning. Start to question, it starts to look really squirrely like this. It starts to look really squirrely, and then life path starts to feel like this because we're asking questions, because we want clarity. We can't get clarity. So that's why this is uncomfortable. That's why there's so much of a rise in anxiety, and there's so much of a rise in confusion, and people don't even know if they can speak from the heart or not. I can speak from the heart. That's clear. I'm not sure if I can speak from the heart or not. That's unclear. Only you can give yourself permission to speak from the heart. So let's say you choose to speak from the heart. You're clear on that. Then you're making other people feel like this. Because what you're saying from your heart makes them feel like you're disorienting their clear path. You're making them question. You're making them wonder. You're making them uncomfortable. They don't like what you have to say. Now they're starting to get squirrely. So what does the world today look like? How do we get to something that is more comfortable? Isn't always a comfortable path to make it comfortable. Because we have to face this. We have to face whatever is going on in our life that is like this, okay? Trying to find the smallest point in a black hole. I would love for you to think about this. What is it in your life path that makes you feel like you can't really see where this is going? And you would really like to see where this is going? Is it asking something of you? You maybe need to straighten this out by taking on some courage. And then maybe saying what you believe is right for you. And just because you have the right to do that, and that makes other people feel uncomfortable, that doesn't mean that you have to become like this because you know that you're going to make them become like this. You see, this is coming back to who are you? Happiness. Who are you? Happiness. Who are you? Happiness. Not every day is a happy day. But when you choose to be yourself, when you choose to be that weirdo that you are, that you are an individual, and this is how you feel about yourself, not because someone told you and you wanted to be popular, but because you had the courage to say, you know what, I'm rough around the edges. This is the way that I am. I don't know why I'm this way, but I've always had this going on. And maybe I can use that to benefit others, because when I see other people are thriving, it makes me feel like I'm thriving on the inside. That's a really solid stance in life. But not everybody is quite like that. That's okay. But we have to choose to be straight with who we are, okay? So that only exists when we start to get confused on then who's Abbey, okay? Now, who are you, all right? And we start to wonder, who am I based upon the world that we're living in? But we also, it's not just how the world communicates with us, because we're a part of the world. We are a part of the world. That's the spiritual side of this conversation, because we aren't separate from the world that we live in. And we're digesting this world, and it impacts us subconsciously, unconsciously, consciously. I could talk about that. I was thinking about making a video to talk about those phenomenons that I've experienced and what that means to me. But we're digesting the world events more than we can possibly comprehend in our mind, because it doesn't make logical sense how we could be literally a part of everyone everywhere in this planet and feel derailed by what other people are going through that we don't even know, and that we could care about people in other parts of the planet and that we're told not to care about, but we just care because they're human beings too. There's something changing here, and maybe this is the heart. Maybe this is the ego, you know? And maybe this is the heart. And maybe when we get, our heart is circulating with information, is circulating with digestion, it's circulating with power. It's circulating with the individual spirit that you came here with. This isn't a confusing place, it's a place of answers. And the ego wants to comfort itself by being reassured that it's in line or it's doing the right thing because a bunch of other people that you're on the same bandwagon with are agreeing with you. That makes you feel safe and comfortable. But really, you don't realize that you're actually imprisoning yourself in a very thin line here, instead of being this extraordinary totality. It's interesting about black holes, because something I've seen about black holes, on one side of the black hole, it's a vacuum. On the other side of the black hole, it's a star or a sun. Is it possible in our universe where we see a sun, on the other side of the universe, there's another universe where it's a black hole, and that from that universe, it's pulling information in that creates the sunlight on the other side? I don't know. It's like, these are things that I come across, and maybe there's some sort of truth to it. But I feel like talking about this, I don't always know how to get solid with what I'm saying, why I'm saying it, but I know there's solid information here when we start going back and forth. And I feel like the happy faces are really telling us something about how to be true to ourselves, then is true to the life path. Not because we were told how to live, but because we were true to ourselves. And if this is a black hole and we can't find the smallest point, it's because it's an infinite space of information. Absorbing information and setting information free simultaneously is the same thing as a human being. And we have every right to be exactly as we are, who we are, not because someone told us to be that way, but because we decided we knew what mattered most to ourselves, our individual self. So if I were to say what I believe that I am, Abbey, who is Abbey? Well, one thing I've known about myself since I was a kid, I love fairy tales. The reason I like fairy tales is because there's usually a conflict, and there's sort of the person that represents morally right and a person that represents morally wrong, and you can see who is who. And the fairy tale guides you from who is morally right is oftentimes the underdog, and who is morally wrong is oftentimes the stronger person. That the stronger person is really the weaker person when they're morally wrong. But the morally right person, the underdog, ends up finding their way on top. Because when you are morally right, you're doing the right thing. You are following your heart. It doesn't always fit into society that needs ego to find comfort. The heart is an infinite space. The ego is a finite space. And the ego creates self-imprisonment without you even realizing it's happening. It's very clever. But the way to break ego is to ask yourself, what am I doing? You just ask your heart, is this me? Am I being me, or am I trying to be somebody I'm not? Or am I in this relationship because, am I willing to say I was wrong? Am I willing to make a change? Am I willing to apologize? Am I willing to, or is apology beneath me? Or these are the types of questions that help you to understand who you are. And so who is Abbey? I've always been attracted to understanding what is a morally right person, and trying to understand what creates a morally wrong person. I think it's okay to say that hurting other people on purpose, to actually laugh while they're crying, is morally wrong. But to hurt somebody without really understanding that, or maybe you're hurting them for the right reasons because they need to grow, I don't see that as morally wrong. So I find it to be intriguing as part of my life path to understand human behavior, human emotions, human thinking. But not to just understand it on a human level by being human myself and observing how I feel around other people, or how people's actions and behaviors make me feel. Like, I study this. I think about this and contemplate this morning and night and morning again. It's my whole life is this. And in the midst of my whole life and really understanding who I am, one thing that I want to do is help people. I want to help people. I've been on this interesting path of learning what really helps people, and can you actually help somebody, or are you just the wisdom or the meaning they were looking for at just the right time that they could then help themselves? Do we actually help each other, or do we become the inspiration that that person was needing all along? That in the end, we can only help ourselves, but we can inspire each other to help ourselves, help themselves. I'm learning about these things. I find it interesting, the mind's perception of reality. And naturally, I feel a connection with an infinite universe. I like to visit the energy side of anything. Whether it's a refrigerator or a black hole, you will find meaning in the depths of literally anything, anywhere. So that is how I can understand who I am, based upon what I'm attracted to, based upon what nurtures my heart, okay? And what nurtures my heart. And so for you to find out who you are, don't worry about what the world likes or doesn't like, because the world can be influenced. And it's not about how many people like you for being the type of person they would like you to be. It's really about what allows you to be free to be yourself, and then to be that person. You see how this isn't really that confusing anymore? It's becoming pretty obvious. It's becoming a straight line. Because if I were to add up what makes my heart bright, it has nothing to do with the way the world is talking to me or telling me I have to be, or how to fit in and all this stuff. And it can be very confusing, but it doesn't have to be. This doesn't have to be confusing, because my heart is bright, it's infinite, it's circulating. I don't have to see the end of this. I don't have to, and that doesn't have to make me feel uncomfortable, because I can be in the flow of this life, but I can know who I am based upon what I have meant to myself and what life has meant to me my whole life. And then I can understand what matters to me is my heart. And I feel strongly that the purpose of the human race, because evolution isn't this physical phenomenon, it's this emotional phenomenon. It's a phenomenon where we start to see the value in each other is what creates the overall value. And so if we are breaking each other down in order to make some weaker and others stronger, then we are not evolving. We're sort of stuck in place between life and death, which is why we still work with life and death. I believe we can evolve out of what is some sort of idea of death, because we don't need to outgrow or to break others down. Like we become a representation of creation, of rejoice in creation. You see how excited I am right now? Like the happiness is happening. Is when I talk about it, it's like, oh man, if we could bring out the best in each other, if we could bring out what makes each other so interesting. Like Care Bears, or even the Seven Dwarfs, they have like the grumpy guy and the sleepy guy, and Care Bears, they have these things too, like because they're just themselves. And so when we love each other for just being each other, but we're bringing out the value or the the characteristics or the creative force or the mirror of that special part of our whole human race. And we're really bringing out the best in it. Not making it confused or dividing it up and shattering it at the core of its soul, but we're finding ways to really inspire each other to be the medicines for each other, where we don't even need medicine anymore, because we're just living in a thriving environment that is like we're sustaining each other. We're building each other up, not breaking each other down. It doesn't need to exist anymore. You know what I mean? I feel like the key to us evolving into that world is to know, who am I? You know, the who am I question. So make it clear. So you should think about this. It just, take the job out and the relationships out and all that, but just get to know you. You know what I mean? What is the heart of who you are? What makes your heart bright? What makes you feel on top of the world? What gives you a great day? And I mean, I guess on some level, we're all on the path of understanding morally right and morally wrong, and some people are more consciously observant and wanting to work on it than others. I don't know. I just wanted to say all of this stuff. I'll let you guys think about it. You'll have to share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you're all having a great day. I'm not sure what I'm going to say next, but stick around, like, subscribe, share. Hit the notification bell, and we can find out what I have to say next together. Have a great day, everyone.